Congratulations, Don Tony and Kevin Castle. It's going to be a huge success that you guys are bringing this podcast back. And you know the song that we sing when we're doing well, especially when we do well in 2024. We in the money. We in the money. Do 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 do. That's right, everybody. Tune in January 1st, all right? The brand new and up-to-date Don Tony and Kevin Castle podcast show coming back in 2024.
It's now time for The Sit Down with Don Tony.
The Sit Down, where Don Tony talks one-on-one with his followers.
What are you looking at?
About the world of pro wrestling, pop culture, and so much more.
The Sit Down with Don Tony.
And now, your host, Don Tony.
All right. One day away. I haven't rehearsed that yet. Here's a little inside fact. Kevin and I originally were going to come back January 1st. And I asked Nana, he was going to record something for us. And I said, do January 1st. And it was Kev's idea. He's like, you know what? Let's hype it up for 3 weeks. Let's wait until the day after the Royal Rumble to officially come back full time. And I was like, you sure? He's like, yeah. He's like, I think it'll be a lot of fun. And I'm like, you know what? It's actually pretty cool to put that on the screen one day in little more than 24 hours. The Don Tony and Kevin Castle show will be back full time every week. A couple of additional special episodes each month. We'll do a Q&A featuring Kevin and I. I may do another one as well if there's enough content. I'm really looking forward to it. And before we get into anything else, I have a little message that I really want to say right at the get-go about everything that is about to happen. I know it sounds a little cocky, but everybody's got a podcast now. Everybody. I can't believe, you see, on my Twitter, I have a lot of people muted because I just don't want shitstorms popping up on my feed every day. But sometimes Twitter gives you the option that you could see suggestions or, you could see other people's tweets. And I do that. Everybody's got a podcast. Everybody has a podcast. But we have the podcast. There's a reason why Kevin and I are still doing this after 20 years. We are taking this very, very seriously. And when I say that we're working 200% to make sure that we just blow everybody out of the water, we're not kidding. Anybody that goes back to the mid-2000s and the antics that we did back then, we shot up to number one like that. And just let this sink in a little bit. And this is a message to other podcasters out there and my friends. JD from New York, Jason Solomonster, people that, I'm friendly with, but I don't break bread with, like Vince Russo and others. I got a message. But before I even say that, back when we started 20 years ago, there was just a handful of podcasts, maybe 6, 7. Now you got 60 to 70,000. Everybody does a podcast about everything. And the problem is, unless you really go, when everybody goes right, you go all the way left. Or if you happen to be attractive, you show your tits or you show your strength. Look, Kevin and I are not eye candy, so we don't care about video. That was never the deal. I just wanted to branch out, expand, because it just felt like things were stuck in the mud. I will admit this. after 5 years that I regret that the DTKC show ceased for many years. And in a way, I'm not regretful, because we are so focused right now, and we see the garbage that's out there. You see Sports Illustrated, which is honestly just around in name only now, posting fake news 24 to 48 hours that Cody's not finishing the story at Mania, and this and that. And then a day later, my source. Listen, 99% of these people out there do not have sources, but sometimes they roll the dice, they use common sense, and they get these crazy following in Twitter. I have nothing against Elon Musk, but he fucking ruined Twitter, because now what shows up every day is either car accident videos, animals being abused, people dying, in tragic ways, war. And yes, that was around in the past, but usually a lot of this extreme or outrageous stuff gets banned. Now the latest craze is black guy, white girl, white guy, black girl, Asian guy. Very rarely you see black, white. What is it? Oh, I took her to Starbucks and on a first date, she broke up with me. Because they know that some of these things trigger. You saw the columns that come out, black women don't like Starbucks, and black women don't like this, and then white women don't like this, and you got Karen's this, and most of them are actors. I saw one pop up on my feed today, first date, and she refused to go to Starbucks. Fuck you, get into a car and an Uber and go home. How's that? Then you got all of the fake news, the clickbait, that desperate attempt to get ad revenue. And it gets scary, because you see some people that get 2, 3, 4, 500,000 hits, 1 million views, and they're getting ad revenue. And they're lying through their teeth, and they don't care. They don't care. And here's another one. How many of you experienced this weekend? If Sasha Banks appears at the Royal Rumble, I will give away 2 front row tickets to WrestleMania. If so-and-so appears, and just to get tens, if not hundreds of thousands of views. Oh, let me hit like, follow, tell me your favorite, and you enter. And they know Sasha Banks is not in the Royal Rumble. They're just doing this to get any way to get your view. So believe me when I tell you, I need these people to stay around, because sooner or later it gets tired. Sooner or later it gets old, and these people will be left with nothing but their dicks and their female private parts in their hands. That's really what it is. They're really going to be busy with their dicks in their hands like this. So we need these people around. But here's my message to my friends in the podcasting world. JD, Joe Cronin, Jason, a bunch of others. I have a lot of, casual friends online. This past Tuesday, we did the Royal Rumble predictions contest. We did contests over the weekend, but we did Royal Rumble predictions. That's not even our official return. And we immediately jumped up to number 42 amongst wrestling podcasts in the United States. We jumped up to 18 in the United Kingdom. And somebody brought to my attention today that in Ireland, it's not 70 million people, but in the country of Ireland, the Don, Tony, and Kevin Castle show right now is ranked number 2. Number 2, Derek Jeter, number 2. I want to keep that list on the screen. Jim Ross, we coming for you. Oh, where's my censor button? No. Oh, yeah. Jim Ross, we're coming from you. We're coming for you. Booker T reference. Jim Ross is number 1 over there right now. Here's my point. You see this top 14? Let me read you the top 14. JR number 1, yours truly and Kevin Castle number 2, Bruce Pritchard number 3, What Culture number 4, Jim Cornette Experience 5, Jim Cornette's Drive Through 6, Talk is Jericho 7, After the Bell with Corey Graves and no longer Kevin Patrick. Number 8, Post Wrestling number 9, Chris Van Vliet number 10, Cultaholic number 11, Going in Raw number 12, Shail Sonin number 13, and Busted Open number 14. In no way, shape, or form is yours truly. See, I just realized something. I'm looking at the camera like really serious. And I'm like, no, they can't see me. They see a list. Under no circumstance did yours truly and Kevin Castle return to steal or take away viewers or listeners from our friends. We are not returning to do that. My point is, you see that top 14 list? Every single one of them is somebody that's either someone currently in the business, somebody no longer in the business, a Hall of Famer, a manager, a promoter, because they realized in 2023, no, I'm not going to sell real estate. God bless Conrad. And I mean that sincerely. I like Conrad. You know, we're not going to have regular job. We're not going to work in an office. No, we're going to podcast and we're going to, whatever is going to get to, that's who we are taking away the viewers and the listeners from. That's who we are taking it from. Because you know what? They could give a flying fuck about any one of us that does a show. It's business. It's not personal. There's a lot of people I like that are in wrestling or used to be in wrestling and do shows. I check out Cornette's stuff almost every day, and I will continue supporting his stuff. But when I see people out there trying to stir up shit with Kevin I and JD or Kevin I and Joe or Jason Salmons and others, understand, in a perfect world, my dog would still be around 25 years later. In a perfect world, my wife's dog wouldn't have died a month ago. In a perfect world, my grandmother would still be here. In a perfect world, that list would be yours truly, JD, Jason, Joe, anybody else, Wrestling Days, whoever you want to put on there. That's the perfect world. So believe me when I tell you, if we are friends with you, we root and we support you. We are not trying to fuck anybody out there. But for all the other people out there, that are just because this is their livelihood now, by any means necessary, those are the people. We're coming for you. I screwed it up again. Oh, my God, Maven. All right, enough. God. So that's the deal. It all begins again tomorrow, and I'm really looking forward to it. I hope you could all join us live. DTKC show is the website. DTKC Discord is where you could tune in live. If you can't tune in live, no worries. If you choose to tune into someone else live, not going to take it personal. DonTony.com, all audio platforms for our YouTube subscribers. You'll get a YouTube version there with a whole bunch of thumbnails mixed in, just like we did for the Royal Rumble prediction show. Patreon, as always. So the show will be everywhere. But now you understand why we pulled back with Kevin I with YouTube. We pulled back with some other platforms with video because our numbers are so skewed and scattered everywhere that if we have 95% of the shows in one source, now you see what happens. Not even a week, and we're already, in some cases, in the top 5. Very, very stoked. All right, if you missed yesterday's rant about the Vince McMahon lawsuit, it's blowing up, for YouTube standards for my channel. It's blowing up right now. It's pretty amazing when it shows up in my own recommended feed, and trust me, I do not watch my own videos. I look at myself and I'm like, I feel like I have a basketball with mustache. So check that out. And if you want to download the lawsuit documents, and I recommend that you do, there's a QR code that you could scan. If you want to download the lawsuit documents, you should, because 95% of social media have not read the court documents. Just look at Triple H last night at the Royal Rumble scrum. I'm not going to get into deep as far as Royal Rumble yesterday. and what Triple H said. Kevin and I are going to talk about that stuff tomorrow. Today's show is about all of you who join me live. You choose what we're going to talk about. Hey, if you all keep bringing up Rumble, I'll keep talking about it. But be prepared. Kevin and I are going to have a lot to say tomorrow about it. I will tell you this. I enjoyed the Royal Rumble. I think the predictability of Cody Rhodes winning it, if you ignored a lot of the noise online that Rock is fucking up Cody's story and all this other shit, you probably enjoyed the Rumble better yesterday. But when you are just suffocated with all confusing news and reports and this and that, and plus people that just want to just spoil the fun. I don't normally call this guy out, but I tell you, man, if I would have had sex last night, I probably still would have enjoyed this tweet better, because last night, for those that don't follow my Twitter, when Bayley came out for the Royal Rumble, because she was my pick to win the Rumble, if you heard the prediction show, and I've been talking about Bayley for several weeks now about her winning. When Bayley came out in the Royal Rumble, then I think the next person was Asuka. And Bayley was confused. Why is Asuka out there? And, instead of just us enjoying the Royal Rumble, Brian Alvarez goes on his Twitter, because he's live tweeting throughout the show. And I am 1,000% sure when he live tweets about AEW, he doesn't try to throw spoilers right when you're watching something that's about to go down. He doesn't spoil somebody that's going to be popping out of the AEW pay-per-view, the entranceway. This motherfucker last night goes on Twitter. Oh, that's Ronda Rousey. Yeah, here's Brian Alvarez. Soon as Asuka hit the ring in the Royal Rumble, he writes on Twitter, presumably, there you go, everyone, the magic LY word. Anybody that writes a word with LY in their news reports, delete it, ignore it. That's their way of trying to say, I'm lying to you, and I'm writing an LY word to try to cover my ass when it doesn't happen. Presumably, the story is Bayley is going to save Damage Control over and over, and then at the very end, they're going to throw her out. And I saw that right when Asuka came out, and I'm like, you asshole. You asshole. You don't do that during AEW pay-per-views. And he knows he's got a powerful, powerful voice in the podcasting world. A lot of people follow him. And he's basically, for everybody that's rooting for Bayley to win, this guy throws that out there right then. If he would have reported it a day before, fine. If he would have reported a week before, even a day of, fine. But as soon as Asuka hit the ring, that asshole reported that. And I waited and waited. I'm like, please win the Rumble, Bayley. Please win the Rumble, Bayley. I wanted her to win anyway. She was my pick. But I'm like, I'm going to hit fucking enter as soon as she throws whoever's, over the top rope last. And when she won that Royal Rumble and Damage Control didn't screw her up, the first thought was, yeah, the storyline that Kevin and I talked about is happening. The Kabuki Warriors winning the tag titles was the excuse to get them to Raw. Bayley will escort the Kabuki Warriors on Raw. That's how Bayley gets to Raw. Bayley's going to tease that she's going to challenge Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. But then somebody in Damage Control is going to throw a little joke that, you should face Rhea because you wouldn't beat Io Sky. And then Dakota Kai would be like, she's going to not want to, say whatever, Io Sky or Asuka or whoever's. And then Bayley's going to be like, no, I can beat you. And then Bayley is going to challenge Io Sky. And they may even do something corny like, look, we guarantee Damage Control keeps the title. If I face you at WrestleMania, no matter who wins, Damage Control keeps the title. We walk out of WrestleMania guaranteed to have the title. And then they boot Bayley out of the group. Then Bayley, full-fledged babyface, beats Io Sky at Mania. And, the full babyface turn is done. That was my first reaction. My second one was, let me rub this shit in this guy's face. He could care less about me. He could care less about any of you out there. But I'm like, if he did that for AEW pay-per-views, it wouldn't have bothered me. But when I saw that, I'm like, you asshole. For everybody that's trending Bayley yesterday, that's rooting for Bayley, that wants the suspension of disbelief, and this guy's basically trying to ruin it. It's like, oh, everyone, don't even waste your time, because presumably the story is that you don't do that while the fucking match is on, you asshole. That pissed me off yesterday. I enjoyed the Women's Royal Rumble a hell of a lot more than the Men's Royal Rumble. I don't know if it was predictability, even though I called for Bayley to win. I just thought the Women's Royal Rumble was a hell of a lot better. Seeing Naomi return was awesome. Seeing her come out at number 2 and her husband coming out at number 2 was pretty cute as well. Seeing R-Truth enter the Women's Royal Rumble was a funny little moment. Not getting any celebrities in the Royal Rumble is just fine with me. Chelsea Green just turning into a bad cartoon where she could have been eliminated 2 seconds later, and instead she kept getting squashed and squashed and squashed and squashed. Ivy Nile, Jordynne Grace, the match of the tag team we never knew that we wanted. Jordynne Grace looked great yesterday. And I'm going to say it. And I have the tweets to back my ass up. Do you? When people were making fun of Jordynne Grace's physique and just calling her a man, and she's got a busted face and this and that. And I know there's some Hall of Famers that, did that to Jordynne Grace as well. I look at her, I'm like, what are you fucking talking about? She's a tremendous wrestler. She looks fine. She cares about her body. People focus on Deonna Purrazzo, and Deonna Purrazzo's beautiful as well. And honestly, I think, the shaming is getting old, but I just think back to all the shaming that was given to Jordynne Grace. And yesterday I'm watching people that used to shame the shit out of her, never apologize for it. They're like, oh, she looks amazing. She looks this. Where the fuck have you been? She's on TV almost every single week. I was so happy to see her on that show, and I loved the interaction with Ivy Nile especially. I thought it was great. The Women's Royal Rumble, Jade Cargill. Now, I'm going to say this, because, again, people are more about getting views and getting emotional likes than actually using common sense. Jade Cargill had a perfect Royal Rumble yesterday. No, she didn't. She didn't win. She didn't win. Did Jade Cargill have a great debut? Absolutely. Jade Cargill showed she belonged. You knew that they were setting up Jade Cargill to eliminate Nia Jax. Go check Twitter. Tens of thousands of people were writing that during the match. Oh, I guess Jade is going to be the one to eliminate Nia. Yeah. I wonder if Jade Cargill's going to be on Raw like we thought, because a lot of Jade Cargill's interaction yesterday was Raw. However, a lot of people want to see Bianca Belair versus Jade Cargill at WrestleMania. It is possible. It is definitely a possibility. We will see. But I thought Jade Cargill did great. But was it because that's the catchy emotional line. Oh, yeah, she had a perfect. No, she didn't. She didn't win. And she would even tell you, I didn't have a perfect Royal Rumble. I didn't win. But I enjoyed the women's match a hell of a lot more than the men. Seeing Andrade return was great. Crowd was a little bit more dead than I expected it to be. They started getting into the match with Santos Escobar, the interaction there. R-Truth showing up in the men's Royal Rumble and trying to get the hot tag from Dominic Mysterio was spectacular. When Pat McAfee first, and as you see, I have no notes. I'm just doing this from memory. When Pat McAfee first came into the WWE, a WrestleMania many years ago, remember he had those ridiculous shorts? And I'm like, who is this fucking goof? I am now a huge fan of Pat McAfee. Did a 180 years ago. did not like what they did yesterday with the Royal Rumble. You know, God bless all the people today that are cute. Oh, Bron Breakker took the spot for Brock Lesnar because Brock Lesnar was supposed to eliminate all those people. Oh, yeah. Why didn't you say that before the Royal Rumble? Why didn't you say? Because they're guessing. If anything, the Pat McAfee comedic shit could have replaced Brock Lesnar in that. All right, nobody fucking knows who was put out there to replace Brock Lesnar. I also took notice of a lot of names that were not there. Braun Strowman is not ready for a return. Sheamus, I guess, is not able to hit the ring either. Then you talk about, oh my God, Pete Dunne is back. How's his performance in the Royal Rumble? And then, you know, you had others as well, but I don't know where you go now with Drew McIntyre. I almost feel like you gotta do something with Drew in this championship. CM Punk does not need to face Seth Rollins for the title. By the way, here's 2 quick audio clips just to stir it up a little bit. Then we're going to get into questions immediately. But before I show you the 2 clips, I thought Royal Rumble was a lot of fun yesterday. The 4-way match, you know, it's the same shit. We knew Solo was going to get involved, just like Solo's going to get involved at Mania, and Solo is going to go to spike Cody again, and then The Rock's music is going to hit, and The Rock is going to neutralize Solo Sikoa, and that's going to leave Cody by himself with Roman Reigns, and Cody will beat Roman Reigns, and then Roman Reigns will take it out on The Rock. And then contrary to people that are saying that The Rock and Roman Reigns, now did you see today The Rock and Roman Reigns is happening in Saudi Arabia? Boy, are they fucking rolling the dice with that, but they don't care. They don't care if they get it wrong anymore. People realized, hey, I could get the craziest shit wrong and people will still follow me. Gullible motherfuckers out there. Look at all the stuff last year with Mercedes Moné. Look at all the stuff last year. Remember the TV 14 for Raw? Oh, WWE's going back to TV 14 tonight. Still waiting for that. AEW signed a 5-year, $1.5 billion deal. It just goes on and on and on. WWE sold to Saudi Arabia. Remember that? They realized they could come up with the craziest lies, get busted for it, and then immediately shift to another story. And then people are like, oh, I'm telling you, it's like a dumb dog that gets abused day after day after day. If for some reason, when the abusive master comes home, the dog is still wagging the tail. I'll get back to Triple H in the media scrum because I see a lot of you asking me about that. Here is just random Seth Rollins' reaction to when CM Punk came out for the Royal Rumble. He's having his drink. He's checking his fingernails. You don't think production told him, hey, CM Punk is coming out at what, 27 or whatever it was? But Roman Reigns, it's weird. People think that Roman Reigns is truthfully angry that Cody Rhodes won the Royal Rumble. God bless their little souls. But here's Roman Reigns' reaction when Cody Rhodes won the Royal Rumble yesterday. The instant reaction. I love it. I love it. I love it. They're probably having drinks right now, starting to prepare for their match. By the way, since a lot of people haven't brought it up, you do realize, right? Seth Rollins is already halfway home with his rehabilitation. See how fast you can return? Seth Rollins could literally come out, cut a promo tomorrow, or not show up tomorrow, and then the following week come out, cut a promo, and then the week after, he's close to being cleared by doctors. Just like that. He is doing very, very well. So did you see Charlotte Flair oiling up her husband? And I know that sounds a little bit adult, but she is doing spectacular. There is no way that she is out for 9 months. She will be back much sooner. And we kind of talked about that a couple of weeks ago, that her injury may not have been as severe as originally reported. I mean, she literally was putting weight on her knee like 5 days later. You don't do that when there's a full-blown tear. I don't care if you staple it. I don't care if you glue it together, stitch it, whatever you want to, fuse it together. No. The body needs time to heal trauma. All right. So, before we get into a couple of super shout-outs and get into your questions, I want to say a little bit of what I said on Twitter earlier that's getting some traction, which surprises the shit out of me. Because Twitter, it's usually, unless you just flat out wish for Vince McMahon's death, you can't use logic anymore. Triple H yesterday on the Royal Rumble post-show conference, media scrum, whatever you want to call it. John Alba asked him about the lawsuit against Vince McMahon. And Triple H basically said he hadn't seen it yet. And he wants to focus on the positives and this and that. And he did not answer the question. Here's my take on it, because Triple H, and I wrote on Twitter today, it's cute. People think that they're getting to Triple H by now start calling him Paul Levesque. How many wrestling news sites today, they think that they're being more serious? If I call Triple H Paul Levesque, now it's more serious. Every person that shifted from the name Triple H to Paul Levesque, honestly, you know, I don't know what to say. But I will say this. This lawsuit was just filed. TKO Group Holdings owns WWE. Triple H is not on the board of directors. Triple H does not own WWE. Triple H works for Ari Emanuel. Triple H works for TKO. Triple H works for Nick Khan. Triple H works for the board of directors. Triple H is not going to go rogue and give you that Vince McMahon hate soundbite just for your satisfaction. To what? Have the stock possibly go down? To possibly influence the lawsuit? Triple H, you don't think, guys and gals, that Triple H did not have a meeting, a Skype, a Zoom call with Ari and Rock and everybody in the board of directors? How do we handle this at the press conference? Somebody's going to bring it up. Well, just don't comment on it. Just focus on the Royal Rumble. Triple H did what he was supposed to do. What Vince McMahon did is vile and disgusting. I think Vince McMahon is a sex addict. I think Vince McMahon has something wrong with him, that he has to be this dominatrix, this dominant person. You know, it's not just a wrestling character. He literally gets aroused by dominating and putting people down. There's something wrong with him. But you also have to understand that things are different now. The reason why people want to go after Triple H, and not only the media, but the people who I call the they knew crew. You see all these people, they knew. Hashtag they knew. I call them the they knew crew. They knew crew. The they knew crew has to take it out on Triple H, because since Triple H is Vince McMahon's son-in-law, by giving pain to Triple H, you're giving more pain to Vince McMahon. They got to take it out on someone. They can't just focus on Vince McMahon. They got to take it on Triple H. They got to take it out on Brock Lesnar. Yesterday, we got into the entire lawsuit. I beg someone, please tell me what Brock Lesnar did that warrants him to be fired, banished from the world of pro wrestling. Why? Because Vince said, hey, there's this girl, and she'll do anything you want. Wait, is part of the job to be a faithful husband. I would never cheat on my wife. And by the way, Brock Lesnar never hooked up with her. Brock Lesnar never did anything with her. Apparently, he wanted to see her with a weird fetish. If it's Brock Lesnar, which I believe it is, tell me what he did. That's it. He asked for a nude. That's it. Banished from the world of pro wrestling. Gone. 99% of these people online did not read the lawsuit. What they are seeing is sound bites. Here's the problem. I don't have the name of the website in front of me, but if you go on Twitter, you'll find it immediately because it got 1 million views already. Somebody took a little screenshot. Corporate officer number 1 is Triple H. And then when you read a little bit further, and it says corporate officer number 1 was at WWE headquarters in 2022 or 2020, whatever it was. I don't remember the exact wording, but if you line it up, Triple H was on his deathbed at the time. We said yesterday, Mark Carrano. No one has yet to bring up Mark Carrano. I don't know if it's Mark Carrano, but based on what we talked about yesterday, it sure damn sounds like Mark Carrano was somewhat involved with this, not in the sex orgies. You had to tune in yesterday to understand. Why? Nobody's bringing it up because they did not read it. Even these Hall of Famers, with all due respect, and I personally think it's a little disrespectful to put plaster on your thumbnail, the picture of the girl. Yeah, she's attractive. That's why they put her on the thumbnail. They're like, oh my God, look at this chick that Vince abused and this is that. That's disrespectful. If the girl goes out in public and wants to show her face, then you show it. Anything to get a view. Triple H did what he was told to do yesterday. And this is what I said on Twitter. This is what I said now. And it's not directed at my family that's watching this or hearing this. And when I say family, I don't mean mom and dad. I mean all of you. If you have a problem with what Triple H said yesterday at the media scrum, go confront Ari Emanuel. Go confront Dwayne Johnson. Go confront Nick Khan. No, you won't. You won't. That's why all of this garbage on Twitter, if you see my Twitter, it's used primarily now to promote my shit. That's it. Because of this garbage that's going around. Triple H said what he had to say yesterday. And let me tell you something. John Alba asked the right question. But a lot of people in that media room knew exactly what the answer was going to be from Triple H's mouth. People that are using it and comparing it to Tony Khan, this and that, that's just for emotional gratification. It's just a real toxic climate out there. And I appreciate each and every one of you out there. I'm not going to lie to you. I felt very awkward yesterday. Very awkward reading that lawsuit. There's a difference when you're sitting here. This is ratings, but it's very different when you sit here and you're just looking at the paper and you're not reading it out loud. But when you're reading it out loud and it's saying the things that he's saying, you're like, oh, shit, this is crazy. It's crazy. It's Eyes Wide Shut. It's 50 Shades of Grey. It's Caligula. It's Rob Black. It's a Lifetime movie, X-rated. It's every weird thing. Coming out of this, the thing that blows my mind more than anything, coming out of this, the thing that blows my mind more than anything is that Vince is this sexually active in his mid-70s. That's the thing that just blows my mind. Like, I see pictures of my dad. I saw my dad for my birthday. My dad is 75. I look at him and I'm like, I can't even picture him like laying in bed with my mom, even just watching TV. And Vince is freaking having Caligula. So that's the thing that blows my mind. All right. Sorry about the opening 30 minutes. I promise I'll make it up for you. We will go a little bit longer. One last thing. This is the last Sunday that we're doing a sit down for at least 2 weeks. Because a couple of weeks ago, I gave everybody the opportunity to vote on where we do the sit down going forward, because Kevin and I are doing a show on Monday. I do, Patreon show, and we're going to do the sit down. We didn't want to do shows back to back to back. Some of you may want a few days of a break. And the majority of you voted for Friday nights after SmackDown. Second place was this time slot, Sunday night, 8 p.m. I do recognize that a lot of people do SmackDown reviews right after SmackDown. This show is not a SmackDown review, though. We will comment a little bit about SmackDown when we do it. But I'm telling you right now, if the turnout, I'm going to give it 2 weeks because not everybody's going to realize that it's shifted to Fridays at 10:05. But after 2 weeks, if the turnout is light because everybody's checking out SmackDown reviews, then 3 weeks from today, we'll be back on Sunday nights. So this coming Friday, February 2nd, if you want to join me for the next sit down, it'll be live at 10:05 p.m. right after SmackDown. And yes, we'll comment a little about SmackDown, but it'll be about the sit down. So, no Rampage review. No Rampage review. So let's get into the sit down. What is the sit down? If you're not aware already, I show up with nothing. I know we showed up with a little today, but I come up with no notes. Everybody who's live dictates what we talk about tonight. You ask the questions, I discuss it. You have a comment you want me to share with the world, I will share it. All you have to do is just be in the chat room and post your question. If I answer it, wait a few minutes before posting another one so we could share it around. And because it's only appropriate, any super chats that come in, because they do help pay the bills. And hopefully if Kevin and I blow shit up, give us a month. We'll be looking like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man because we'll be showered with money and buy lots of food with it. No. Or if you see me one day and the next day I look like a skeleton, like, oh, DT had liposuction. See, that's where our money is going. No. Any super chats that come in get a little VIP treatment. I get into them before everyone else. By the way, Raul Harris, welcome. 6 months. 6 months ago today, he became a channel member. The lawsuit made him think of Ashley Mazzaro. Ashley Mazzaro was, if I remember correctly, the Navy. It was the military. And that was awful. I felt awful about that because remember, it was me that uncovered all the escort stuff in Long Island. See, a lot of you that are newer to my shit, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, we were breaking shit that no one else was. And unfortunately, I uncovered the Ashley Mazzaro stuff. I still have it. But then you saw what happened. You can't predict what, ended up with Ashley. I don't know what happened in the military, a tribute to the troops. That should have been investigated further. I don't know. But I don't compare that to the Vince stuff. I mean, the Vince stuff is just, it's two totally different things. They're both terrible, but it's two totally different things. Yeah, poor Ashley Mazzaro, seriously, because she just wanted to be a performer. And I don't mean in the adult industry. She wanted to be a performer in wrestling. She wanted to be, she did the Survivor thing and she became a wrestler and she worked hard at it and she got injured almost immediately and still worked hard. But then something happened. And I remember, and the thing is, we still have the shows that Kevin and I did at that time when she started to get really, really thin on TV. And you looked at the Ashley Mazzaro when she first came in, and you looked at the Ashley Mazzaro towards the end of a WWE run, and like, wow, totally different. Her story was tragic. Did Dark Side of the Ring ever do a story on Ashley Mazzaro? I think they did. It almost feels like they did. I'm not a big fan of Dark Side of the Ring. And Kevin and I are going to talk about season 5 tomorrow because the list has come out. Some of them just have me scratching my head like, why? Oh, really? OTS Tribal Queen says, no, they never did a Dark Side of the Ring Ashley Mazzaro. I mean, if you're going to do Dark Side of the Ring, do Ashley Mazzaro. What is it? Because it's too much work? You're going to do the Sandman? The Sandman? I think the Sandman right now, if you go to him, it'll be like, dude, I'm not going to smash this can over my head because it still has soda in it. Be like, dude, I had a fucking ride. This is fucking great. Why? Because he got arrested at Captain Lou Albano's 75th birthday or something? The Sandman? Huh? Do Anthony Mazzaro. Work for your money. All right. Steve Joseph, no biggie at the Royal Rumble. I know, man. Kevin and I said it on Tuesday. It was probably not going to happen, but one can hope. I hope he is close to returning. I saw him at some of the events this weekend. He looked happy. Probably kills him that he can't go out there and work yet, but, keep fingers crossed that he'll be back. So thank you, Steve. I know Steve sent the trifecta, so first it was no biggie at the Royal Rumble. Why was Brock not at the Royal Rumble? Listen, I will say this. I personally think because Brock's name showed in a lawsuit, I think WWE, let me put it this way. I will say this. I compare Brock Lesnar, if he would have showed up at the Royal Rumble, to Chris Jericho showing up at the World's End. That's what I compare it to. Brock Lesnar, again, if you read the lawsuit and if you heard what we got into yesterday, Brock Lesnar, if anything, Sable is whipping him with a belt right now. You want to get peed on? I'm going to throw the dog in your face. Let our pit bull piss all over you. You want to get peed on? He never slept with her. Never did anything. Vince, people take it seriously that was a contract negotiation. Here's a piece of ass. Let's use a little common sense here. Here's the problem, though. Here's the problem. 95% of that crowd yesterday did not read the lawsuit. They're only going based on tweets and what they heard. So, in my opinion, they kept him off the Royal Rumble to avoid him getting booed out of the building. I think once it starts circulating what Brock's involvement actually was in that lawsuit, then I think Brock Lesnar could be back. Maybe Brock Lesnar does not come back because Vince is no longer there. That could be too. And, Kevin and I are going to talk about it tomorrow. Not only Brock Lesnar and Triple H are going to be in the scope. Eventually, anybody who is close friends with Vince McMahon is going to be a target. John Cena will be a target. Undertaker will be a target. Just not the right person has started the shitstorm yet. The big snowball. Somebody's going to go on Twitter that has influence in the near future, and they're going to target Cena. They're going to target maybe McAfee or target Undertaker because they are very close friends with Vince McMahon. And when the right person throws that snowball down the cliff, everybody's going to turn it into a massive tsunami against those people. Anybody that is close friends with Vince McMahon is going to eventually become a target. How could you remain friends with a sick individual like that? And honestly, I can't blame people for feeling that way. But, you can't take it out on other people. Because if you're going to do that, you best damn believe you better fucking start crucifying all of Chris Benoit's friends that still love him, that still think, that was not the Benoit I knew, and I love him, and that's not the Benoit I knew. And it's how could you even, go there? He killed people. Don't use that selective shit. You see now how it's like, oh, well, that's different. Oh, really? It's different? Okay, Steve's trifecta. Did I see Ronda Rousey's tweet about Bruce Pritchard? Yes, I did. That is definitely something Kevin and I are going to talk about tomorrow. But for those that did not see the tweet, Ronda Rousey suddenly beloved by the wrestling world. Because Ronda Rousey went on Twitter over the weekend and said, and I quote, Bruce Pritchard is basically Vince's avatar. If he's still around, meaning Bruce, then Vince still has his hand in the business. Vince was still running things through Bruce Pritchard when he was gone before. Ronda Rousey's right. Here's the problem, though. Ronda Rousey's tweet went over everybody's fucking heads. Think back to the timeline when Vince was gone. TKO Group Holdings did not own WWE yet. So if Bruce Pritchard still works there now and Vince has been resigned, you think Ari Emanuel is sneaking outside? What is this, like a scene of Goodfellas? Let me go use the payphone on the corner and let me call Vince. Vince, what do you think about this? Are you crazy? Ronda Rousey's tweet sounded great and everything, but I'm like, wait, TKO didn't own the company at the time. Bruce Pritchard does not have the power he did before. But nobody thinks about that. They're just like, oh, I love you, Ronda. You're fucking amazing. God bless you for stepping up and bashing Vince McMahon. It's about bashing. When we get through this tomorrow, people will be like, Ronda Rousey's tweet really? And plus, what is Ronda complaining about? Did Vince offer to like barbecue her? Like, hey, let me throw you on my steak. Why don't you go on my grill if you know what I mean? What is she talking about? Creative? Bruce Pritchard isn't creative, right? Bruce Pritchard's not on the board of directors. What is she talking about? She talking about creative? That's what it sounds like to me. Did it sound like Bruce is running the ship? Come on, it's TKO Group Holdings, man. Her tweet is irrelevant to 2024, but nobody wants to say that. Thank you, Steve, for the trifecta. Ronnie C. Yes, I saw this early. He sent it very early, as did Steve. Steve sent his last night. Yo, DT, I'm sending you this early so you can get it. I need to see the post from the girl that made fun of someone posting fake news, but then she got it wrong herself about CM Punk coming out at number 5. Don emoji Blinky. Is that the Pac-Man blink emoji? Yeah, the emojis don't pop up on the super shout-outs, super chats. But yes, I saw your tweet this afternoon, and yes, I pulled it. I'm going to show it to everybody. My friends, if you tuned into yesterday's show, we were talking about fake news. And we were talking about, like, sometimes if you're going to throw stones, be very, very careful if you throw stones as well and you get caught. And it happened yesterday, and I thought it was funny. Now, honestly, I could give a flying rat's ass about either one of these people. I don't follow them. I don't care about them. I don't wish any ill will with them. I just find it funny that if you're going to throw stones, you better be careful yourself. So here it is, everyone. You're going to get a good laugh out of this one. And I know some of you are going to be like, oh, I know that asshole, because he's not a very popular person online. Oh, no. Wrong one. Oh, yes, this is it. All right, there's a guy online. It's IBOU of Wrestling Purists. Abu, is that his name? I don't know. It's at Backup Hangman. Back in I guess early this year. Well, actually, yeah, back early this year, he writes to the WWE. Actually, he writes this: I really hate to burst people's bubbles, but I reached out to sources that would know on CM Punk's side, and they denied the situation has taken place. As of today, CM Punk returning to the WWE at Survivor Series is not set to happen. He wrote that the day of Survivor Series. Got crazy views off of it. He said that he talked to people that are in CM Punk's camp and he's not appearing at Survivor Series. So he got caught. So anyway, yesterday or a couple of days ago, he writes to the WWE fans, MJF will not be at the Rumble. Okada will not be at the Rumble. Sasha Banks will not be at the Rumble. Before I go any further, my answer to that is, duh. Well, anyway, he says, if you're looking for people to be realistically excited about, your options are Jade Cargill, who's a borderline lock to appear, if not be in the Rumble. So he basically it's not news. He just wrote what we all knew pretty much was going to happen. So anyway, when he writes this on the 26th, there's some woman by the name of Morgan Holly Moore. Now, I haven't seen too much. I didn't look at her profile, but I see, with all due respect, that her tits are hanging out, so there's probably an OnlyFans page or something attached to it. I know she's got 300,000 plus followers. So she writes to him, and she writes, this you? So when he talked about Okada, MJF, and Sasha, she took the screenshot about CM Punk at the Survivor Series, And she says, this you? To throw it in his face like you got it way wrong about Survivor Series. Well, she the same day goes on Twitter and does this. Look, everybody, I just met CM Punk at Starbucks next to Tropicana Field. He told me he's entering at number 5 in the Royal Rumble tomorrow. And she's got a picture with CM Punk. She really did meet him. But she couldn't wait to tell the world that CM Punk told her that he was going to be number 5. So what happens? You had a whole ton of people yesterday writing, CM Punk, bet on number 5, bet on number 5, bet on number 5. So Molly, Morgan, Holly, whatever your name is, when you're going to throw something in someone's face, it best be careful to not be guilty of it yourself. That's my honest take on that. I look, again, I have nothing personal against either one of them, but, this is just an example of, if you're going to play gotcha, you got to play hit and run. You got to throw the stone and run away. You got to throw a stone and get in the car and race away. You don't wait there and then, get hit with a stone yourself. So that's that. That's that. All right. Let's get into a couple of more super shout-outs, and then we'll hit over to the chat room, and then we will wrap it. Scorpio 1117, Jade Cargill made the Rumble. Sucks that she lost. Oh, she did great yesterday. It's not a perfect appearance. Some of her spots were a little, it was nerves. It was nerves, obviously. Jade Cargill did perfect yesterday in the sense that she made a presence. The fans got behind her. She got her stuff done with Nia Jax. This is her introduction, her reintroduction to mainstream wrestling. You don't want to put that kind of pressure and have her win the Rumble and leapfrog everyone else, because I got news for you. You don't want to give anybody outside of Tony Khan. You don't want to give, and honestly, I think deep down inside, Tony Khan is rooting for Jade Cargill too. I really mean that. I really believe there's, unless you don't like Jade Cargill, everybody's rooting for her. Really, she's not throwing any shade AEW's way either. If you have Jade Cargill win the Women's Royal Rumble, and she leapfrogs Bayley, there was a point yesterday where the fans were chanting Bayley over Jade Cargill during the match when Jade was out there. If you would have had Jade win, there would have been a decent amount of resentment online, like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Like, all these other people were more deserving and worked hard all year long, and she just comes in and grabs it. There would be enough people that would have that resentment. So, no, I don't think she should have won the Royal Rumble yesterday. I was very, very happy for her. It was funny, though? It was funny. I don't know if you picked up on it, but I don't have my notes in front of me, but I do remember writing this down. When Alba Fire came out, majority of the WWE universe does not know her theme music yet. And when her number was called, they did a camera shot and they showed the whole arena, and there was a pause, and then the music hit. And there was no reaction. And I was saying to myself, I bet you everybody thinks it's Jade Cargill, because nobody recognized the music. Then showed her name on the screen and, the Unholy Union. And then, there was a little bit of reaction. But when her music hit, there was this pause that I think people thought that Jade Cargill's name was going to pop up on the screen. But I enjoyed Jade Cargill. I'm telling you, I enjoyed the Women's Royal Rumble match more yesterday than the men's. I haven't thought about it if I enjoyed it more than Logan Paul, Kevin Owens. Man, I enjoyed that finish with Kevin Owens and Logan Paul yesterday. That was great. Kevin Owens using the nuts and keeping them in his hand, and the ref seated at the last minute. That was a good finish. That was definitely a good finish. Would that be classified as a dusty finish? Is it classified as a dusty finish? I don't know. But I enjoyed that finish. Thank you, Scorpio. Chris Cuttra for the 5 spot. Thank you, Chris. I normally hate DQ Wow, look at that. Perfect timing. I normally hate DQ finishes in pay-per-view matches, but I thought the end of KO and Logan was cool, old school finish I haven't seen in 15 years. That is definitely old school. Definitely old school. Somebody cheats, referee sees it at the last second. Usually you would take something, use it as a weapon. Remember George the Animal Steel? Anybody remember George the Animal Steel? I went to the Garden many times in the early 80s when George Steele was still wrestling. And I tell you, it was amazing to see, and I was guilty of it as well. It was amazing to see so many people yelling at the referee, he's got it in his mouth. He's got it, because George Steele would pretend facing you, you're the crowd. You're the people in the arena. Behind me is the ring. And George the Animal Steel will take out like a piece of it looked like, the tape, wrist tape, and he just rolls it. It looks like a white foreign object, and he'll jab somebody in the throat with it. And the referee is tending to the person, and George the Animal Steel has it in his hand, and he doesn't put it in his tights. Very easy. You just put it in your tights, and that's it, right? No, you got to play up to the crowd. So when the referee would go up to George, what did you do? George the Animal Steel would climb the turnbuckle and do this. And he would keep it in his mouth, facing the crowd, and everybody would be like, he's got it in his mouth. And then the referee would turn around for a second, and he'd go, Gah. And he would do this. It's old school. It's old school. It definitely worked yesterday. It definitely worked. I enjoyed that finish too. TS Tribal Queen. Do I know who played the Honky Tonk Man's girlfriend? What was her name? Sue? Was her name Sue? I don't remember. I don't know if they even revealed that. I know Diamond Dallas Page, didn't he drive the car for the Honky Tonk Man? I don't think we ever learned. Peggy Sue, I think her name was. I don't think we ever learned who Peggy Sue was. No. It wasn't Sherry Martel. Peggy Sue was somebody else originally. Didn't they have two? Didn't the first time we saw Peggy Sue was not Sherry Martel, and then it ended up being Sherry Martel? I could swear that the original Peggy Sue was just nobody. Sherry Martel was very well known by then. I don't recall Sherry Martel being the original Peggy Sue. Could very well be. But a few people in the chat room were saying that it was Sherry Martel. I got to go. Listen, I'm not disagreeing with you. Sherry Martel absolutely ended up being Peggy Sue. I could swear, if you're talking about Mania, yeah, I think that was Sherry Martel. But I could swear there was another appearance where he was with Peggy Sue. Am I thinking of a music video or something? There was something at the Honky Tonk. I'm telling you, this is not just me not remembering history. There is something that I have somewhere with Honky Tonk Man, a skit or something where Peggy Sue was there and it was not Sherry Martel. Yeah, Peggy Sue was Buddy Holly. That's right. My Peggy Sue. Trust me, I don't even like the song. It's just, I remember my dad listening to 50s CBS FM when I was growing up, and I would hear, love my Peggy Sue. What a horrible writer Buddy Holly was. I mean, if you think about those lyrics, it sounds like a bad commercial. Peggy Sue, Peggy Sue, Peggy Sue, my Peggy Sue. It sounds like a Pitbull song. I know you want me. You know I want you. I know you want me. You know I want you. I know I want you. You know I want me. You know you want me. You know. It's like one fucking line said 19 times and they make millions. Seriously, Buddy Holly, when you really think about it, that motherfucker was not a creative writer. Could you imagine him? He's in the studios. Let me write a song. Oh my God. It just hit me. Give me some of that moonshine. It just hit me. Peggy Sue, Peggy Sue, Peggy Sue. If I'm the person who owns the studio, I'd be like, buddy, get the fuck out. The fuck out. Go crash your car or something. Go to the plane. Get out of here. My God, did you ever think we'd be talking about Buddy Holly on this show? See what you started, OTS Tribal Queen? All right, let's head over to the chat room. The chat room. All right, ask the questions. I give the answers. Who's my favorite Mets commentary duo of all time? I used to love Ralph Kiner and Tim McCarver. But I got to be honest with you, any combination of Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling, or Gary Cohen. Keith, Gary, and Ron. They just, honestly, maybe Gary Cohen and Keith Hernandez. I like Ron Darling too, but Keith Hernandez is great, man. Really, really enjoy them. Indigo. Hope you had a good weekend. My question about the final two of the men's Rumble. I thought it was underwhelming. Do I think the final two should have been Gunther and Cody again? No. My original prediction was Cody and CM Punk going over the top rope together. Did you see that moment where they almost did? I have my clip queued up. I'm not going to lie to you. I went on YouTube and I had the clip saved. I'm like, please, please, please. But no, in the end, they did the right thing. The problem is it was hyped up so much for so long that it kind of was on it. Listen, when people were saying yesterday, oh, there wasn't enough surprises in the Royal Rumble, it's not that there wasn't enough surprises. Because honestly, and I'm going to say this, as far as the wrestlers, the men in the Royal Rumble, the men's Royal Rumble was fine. I don't mean to throw shade, but you did not have Cruz del Toro. You did not have Joaquin Wilde. You did not have Giovanni Vinci. You did not have Tyler Bate. You did not have Pretty Deadly. You did not have a lot of tag teams. You did not have Johnny Gargano. You didn't have Tommaso Ciampa. Not saying that they're not worthy, but this year they didn't just fill spots. That's a good thing. The reason why people felt underwhelmed was because the finish ended up being so predictable that the only way it would have kind of made up for it is if we would have had legends come out. Somebody other than Andrade that we had, that's why people feel this way. Omos, I think most of us expected. Omos has been working the house shows. But, when you really think about it, that's the reason why people felt underwhelmed. Because, when you're being told over and over and over and over and over and over and over, look at what's happening with WrestleMania 40. We have been told for almost a year that Cody is going to finish the story against Roman at WrestleMania 40. That people are so tired of it, wrestling websites have to come out with fake news. The Rock is screwing up Cody's story. Like, why would you even promote that? Why would you even put that on a thumbnail when you know it's not true? Because everybody is bored of it. So how do I get interest? Oh, I get it. I'll tease. I didn't originate the story, so my out is I didn't report it. He reported it. I'm only reacting about him. Well, guess what? I never reported Justin Barrasso in Sports Illustrated with that garbage that Cody's not finishing the story. It's going to be Cody and Punk, and it's going to be... No, I read it, and I'm like, did this guy smoke something? Like, who the fuck gave him that? So I was like, I'm not reporting that. It doesn't make sense. That's the difference between, and again, I know it's a cheap plug, but that's the difference between Kevin and I and everybody else. We see something, if it looks like shit, it smells like shit, then we're just not going to touch it. We're not going to eat it. We're not going to taste it. It looks like shit. It smells like shit. I think it's shit. You know what? Fuck it. Oh, it's shit. That's the difference to everyone else. Justin Barrasso could put dumb shit out there and everybody runs with it. Instead of saying, I like Justin. I'm not going to report it simply because he's a nice guy. Justin is such a nice guy. I got to report anything that he says. No, if it seems ridiculous, ignore it. And people don't do that. Is that a Vince reference? No, it's not a Vince reference. Listen, anything with crap now, trust me, my original thumbnail, I had shitstorm on the top. And I was like, that comes off too funny. And my original thumbnail for yesterday's show was comedy. So instead, I just, he's got very, very clean, beautiful hands. I couldn't find somebody. I was trying to find a program where I could make the hands look like the hands of a 100-year-old. Like, these hands look a little bit too clean and too beautiful looking. But I had to Photoshop, that. I didn't want it to be comedy. But now anything with like crap, just, and I was just, when people were saying that maybe Vince is just old and he just like crapped on her and, it didn't do it on purpose, but because he's old, he couldn't hold his pants. I'm like, did you even fucking read the papers? Like, there were people actually reporting that maybe Vince has a medical condition. Yeah, he does have a medical condition. He's a fucking sex addict. He's got a problem treating people the right way. That's his issue. He's got a sex problem. He's got a problem that he can't hold it in his pants. Oh, my God. Bron versus Dominic. It's not bad. Listen, when Karrion Kross started going up against Dominic yesterday, crowd cheered a little bit, and then they immediately shifted away. I'm like, no, I know Kross is a heel, but I'm like, you get him a pop any way possible. Because if you get a pop and then you start impressing afterwards, the crowd will go. That's what happened to Bron Breakker yesterday. Bron Breakker is a heel right now. Bron hit the ring, did a couple of things, and the crowd wasn't really feeling it. But then he hit Dom and hit somebody else, and the crowd's like, oh, yeah, now I like it. And then he just one after the other. And Bron started giving me that Diesel moment from 1994 or 5. I think it was 4. Not on that level, obviously, but I was like, yeah, he's getting over. And if you remember Tuesday's prediction show with Kevin and I, we were really high on Bron Breakker being in that Royal Rumble. Bron Breakker was one of my highlights yesterday. Really, really enjoyed Bron yesterday. Bron belongs. He absolutely belongs. Gruss says I should Photoshop Vince's head on the Emperor from Star Wars' body. It's not a bad idea, but honestly, I don't want to like Photoshop Vince anymore. Like we did what we did. Like, a lot of people asked me in the last 12 hours since I did this episode, what do I think is going to happen next? Honestly, and I know Kevin and I are going to talk about it tomorrow, I think Vince McMahon through his attorneys, are going to reveal that he has a sex addiction and he's being treated through a doctor for it. Remember Harvey Weinstein? Nick Hausman did the big boo-boo and compared Jericho to Harvey Weinstein, which is just insane, with all due respect. But Harvey Weinstein, to try to gain sympathy, said he was being treated by a doctor for being a sex addict. Nobody was buying that shit. Even if he was, Harvey Weinstein is an animal. And thank God he is, where he is. But I predict Vince. I think that the two things that's going to come out is I think Vince is going to they're going to say he's being treated for an addiction to sex. And I think we're also going to hear that Vince is going to show proof that she wanted it, that she was into this. She was into it just as much as he was. Then I want to see if Linda McMahon files for divorce. You think Linda McMahon signed an agreement with Vince not to divorce him? Can you even do that? Is it even legal? Wife, you cannot sue. You cannot divorce me. I don't know if that is I don't think you can do that. Because isn't like a marriage like God and, religion and stuff? Like, I don't know. We are, I don't know, you got symbols on your name, but he says, yes, that you can actually do that. Wow. Dosh D-O-O-S-H. Dosh. Kuno. Do I think Stephanie is corporate officer number one, that her time as co-CEO was the sacrificial lamb for Vince in the WWE? I never thought of Stephanie being executive officer number one. That's not bad, though. That's not bad. That's actually, the more I think about it, that's pretty fascinating, because everybody thinks that corporate officer has to have a set of testicles. And I'm not trying to be funny right now. If you noticed the last 2 days, if it says corporate officer, it must be a man. It must be a man. Why? It doesn't say that every corporate officer had their way with her. It doesn't say that at all. That's not bad. That is not bad. It could very well be. One thing we will learn the identity of some of these people. Because remember what we brought up yesterday. Why is the doctor being protected? Why is the psychologist being protected? Why is the physical therapist being protected? If they are into that shit that Vince was, and they were participants, why would you keep them anonymous, where they now could continue practicing and maybe preying on others? There's a lot of things wrong with this lawsuit, but nobody's talking about it because nobody read it. People just want the clips to use as ammunition against Vince or Triple H or Brock. We says he's Hooli. Some folks on here know him. He mods for JD. He's only been there a couple of times, but he loves being Big Kev. Been following us a long time. I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. Just like I said, it comes up with symbols, and I'm not making fun of names, but when I see symbols, I just like, blah, 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 blah. Because then, I take Prevagen, but, I'm not that sharp with names, but thank you. Big shout out to you, man. Mike, celebrating 2 years as a channel member. R-Truth was great last night. One of the favorites. Yes, R-Truth was great yesterday. I laughed the most. There's a clip on social media right now if you want to go watch it. R-Truth is with Adam Pearce in the back. And Adam Pearce is reading R-Truth the riot act for going out in the women's match. And R-Truth looks at Adam Pearce, is like, "Where'd your hair go?" And Adam Pearce says, "That was Nick." And R-Truth is like, "Dominic?" Because remember, Tom and Nick, like R-Truth keeps doing this Tom and Nick thing. So when Adam Pearce said that was Nick, R-Truth, sharp as a tack, man. He's like, "Oh, Dominic?" It's funny. If you go on, there's some good gems online right now. I wanted to share them all today, but today was a very, very busy day. Not just preparing for tomorrow, but preparing for, my regular job and spending time with the missus. So, I tried to budget it, as much as I can. Demir, shout out to Demir. What do I see LA Knight doing the next few months? Getting into it with Logan Paul. I think he enters the Elimination Chamber. I think he fails. I think CM Punk could very well end up winning the Elimination Chamber, even though I think it's not needed. LA Knight, and Kevin and I talked about it on Tuesday, I think LA Knight is absolutely taking that belt off of Logan Paul. LA Knight needs a championship. LA Knight is mega over. He's got it. It should not be this hard to get a title. I understand in this climate because Roman set the precedent, so did Gunther. And you have to keep the belts on Damian Priest and Finn Balor because of the storyline. So that just leaves Logan Paul's championship. LA Knight is going to be the one to dethrone Logan Paul. LA Knight, I think, will continue a little bit with AJ Styles. LA Knight may even mingle with Randy Orton a little bit. I think they will take their time and then eventually segue into Logan Paul. And then it'll be LA Knight and Logan Paul at WrestleMania. Psycho, where do I see Jade Cargill go first in the WWE? I think she's bound for Raw. The only issue is Bianca Belair is on SmackDown. And if Bianca Belair is going to face Jade Cargill at WrestleMania, then unless Jade Cargill's a free agent, you know what? More I think about it, leave Jade Cargill a free agent. Let her pop up on NXT. Let her pop up on Raw. Let her pop up on SmackDown. Not every single week so you get tired of her, but let the perception that Jade Cargill is a free agent and everybody's wooing over her. And then you could ultimately have her face Bianca at WrestleMania. Then if you want to put her on Raw, you put her on Raw. Raw's a 3-hour show, so you have more time where you could experiment a little bit with Jade. The only problem with putting Jade Cargill on Raw right now is Rhea Ripley's going to be busy with Becky Lynch, more than likely. You put Jade Cargill on Raw, now everybody's going to insist Jade Cargill versus Rhea Ripley. Jade Cargill versus Rhea Ripley. Jade Cargill versus Rhea Ripley. And Becky Lynch, could you do a 3-way? Sure. You could do a 3-way. But I think that's what they're going to do with Jade Cargill. Vince, will Cody stay on Raw until WrestleMania or go to SmackDown till WrestleMania? Oh, Cody will be on both brands. Cody will be on both brands. Cody is not a SmackDown wrestler, so Cody cannot start wrestling on SmackDown. But Cody will show up on SmackDown to confront Roman Reigns. And then when he's there, if Solo Sikoa or Jimmy Uso or a combination thereof go to attack Cody Rhodes, that's when you will have Nick Aldis allow Cody Rhodes to wrestle in a match, and he'll take on a Jimmy Uso. He'll take on a Solo Sikoa. I don't know about the Solo Sikoa, though, because you want Solo to interfere in the WrestleMania match. I know a lot of you don't, but it's got to be part of the story. So that's how you get Cody on SmackDown. But no, Cody Rhodes will remain a Raw wrestler until he wins the championship. Then when he wins the championship, by default, Cody Rhodes will then become a SmackDown star. And then we'll see when the draft takes place. Alexander Ars, do I think Sami Callihan and or Nick Gage would go to WWE? Definitely not Nick Gage. I'm not the biggest Nick Gage fan. If anybody goes back to the bank robbery days, look, I also feel he has definitely learned his lesson and he has paid for his sins, and he is not that person anymore. He had a lot of addiction problems at the time, so I personally commend Nick Gage for overcoming all that. That is a success story. But I don't see Nick Gage as a WWE superstar. Just like as much as I got along with New Jack, as much as I enjoyed being friendly with New Jack, not close friends, but friendly with him, as much as I enjoyed talking to him countless hours, even with the Maniac, we never ever envisioned New Jack to be a WWE superstar. I think the closest we ever thought was probably 2005. 2005, I remember one time, and any of you, if you talk to Mass Maniac, he's still online. He'll tell you I'm not making it up. There was one time, I think in 2005, this might have been right before Chris Candido passed. We were talking to New Jack on the phone, and I think they were doing an ECW invasion. Balls Mahoney was there, Axel Rotten was there, and a few others. And I remember Maniac saying, Jack, you think you're going to go to WWE? And he was like, man, WWE ain't going to hire my ass. Like, he just went on this whole rant, and I couldn't stop laughing, but he never ever thought that he was. Honestly, I never thought New Jack would ever get it done in TNA. And his stuff with Shark Boy, going back on it, I love that stuff. That stuff, I knew Shark Boy personally, Dean Roll, that's his name. Because I am actually the one that brought him to New York for a lot of events. If anybody ever talks to him, ask him. I'm the one that actually paid for him to work USA Pro. I got the money back from Frank, but I was the one. I told him, like, Frank, you had to see how over he was at XPW Fallout 2002. Frank, you got to put Shark Boy on your shows. Frank Goodman was very, very smart. He's like, if you want to put him on the shows, you have to lay out the money, because if he bombs or if he sucks, I'm not paying the money. And then Shark Boy went on the shows and got over crazy and missed me. I was like, no problem. because he made money on it. That was the infamous hotline night that me and Sharkboy went to a pub and we drank a little bit too much. I got in my car. We didn't drive. We went 1 block and we pulled over and he's like, call your hotline. And I was like, all right, I called my hotline and we did this drunk hotline report in mid-2000, must have been 2006 or 5. And after I did it, you know, like somebody left a message like, you're drinking and driving? And we were like, oh shit. You know, like and he was like, I can't take the risk of you getting pulled over and arrested. I can't go to jail. I got to go home the next day. I think he lived in Ohio. So I ended up calling a cab and he took a cab to the airport and cab to the hotel. And I drove home. I'm not going to lie. I drove home. I drove home drunk. I regret it. I never drink and drive, period. I'm a defensive driver instructor, for those that don't know, and I cannot have a moving violation on my license. Plus, I don't want to pay $5,000 a year for car insurance, so I don't drink and drive. We're talking about a story that's 20 years old. So, Tristan, what was my thoughts when I first saw Vince McMahon's limo blow up? Did I think he was really dead? No, I never thought he was really dead. I do remember the controversy. The stock went down. And people outside of the wrestling world thought that Vince McMahon really died in a limo. And WWE's like, fuck. And they had to issue a press release that Vince McMahon was okay. And, you know, obviously it got press. But no, we did not think. In fact, the funny thing is, Kevin and I did we did a podcast that night. I got to find the episode. I got to go back and check the date. It's anyone out there, could you pull up the date that Vince McMahon got blown up in the limo? Because if he did, then, because remember, starting this week, we got DTKC show episodes popping up on subscribers. And, you know, the smaller tier, everybody will get the weekly show for that week. And the other tier, they'll get the archives as well. But we're throwing retro episodes up there as well. That would be an interesting one to put up there. Our reaction. June 11th, 2007. You know, the funny thing is, if I had my files right now, I could pull up June 11, 2007. But I have the episode. We definitely did an episode. So, yeah, I'm going to have to. It was a week before Benoit. Yeah, we definitely have it because the week after Benoit, we didn't do a show. I remember we did that crazy 5-hour show that is still online, and then we took a week off. It was just so much to take in. I know, but a week before, we absolutely did cover that. So I'm going to put that episode online. That's a good one to put online. You could hear our original reaction the night that happened. So, all right, we're at 90 minutes. LeDude says, he loves you, I love you, DT, but these stories from 97 to 2006 are getting old. You know, listen, I understand that, but there are so many people that don't know these stories. You know, I appreciate you've been around that long to hear these stories multiple times. I don't bring them up just to bring them up. If I were bringing up stories just to bring them up, then I would rather bring up stories where, you know, things were kind of more in my favor. I bring up the stories because we're talking about a particular topic. So, you know, I'm sorry for anyone out there that doesn't like me rehashing stuff. Plus, LeDude, not trying to get on your back. When was the last time I talked about Sharkboy? 19 months ago? So forgive me for 60 seconds or 90 seconds of telling a story out of thousands of hours of content. So I don't do it on purpose. No, I don't listen. Nobody go after him. He is a big supporter of what we do. I promise you, I don't like bringing up old shit unless it's pertinent to a conversation. Trust me, I'm not getting additional viewers or listeners because I have stories from 20, 30 years ago. But there are a lot of people that were not around a year ago, 5 years ago, that never ever tuned into my shit before, that don't know about these stories. You know, it's not like in order to become a supporter of this channel, you got to read my whole biography and everything that I did. You know, don't let me get started about being sued from WWE for the ECW stuff. Now, if I start putting that out there, now I don't blame you for being angry. Yeah, see, Chaos says he loves the stories. I get it. Listen, I get it. Some people like them, some people don't. I promise you, dude or anybody else, I don't do it to piss anybody off. But if it's pertinent to a conversation, sometimes they come up. And for good reason. Good reason. Trust me, there's more stories I've never told. There's one that I want to tell so bad. So bad. And Kev knows the story. I can't. I'm like this close of telling the story because, this person, I can't. If I even throw a hint, people will be like, oh my God. Yeah, it's a story I've never told. It happened in 2002, and it involves somebody that is not very well liked. Female. Who's still with us, but not in the way you think. I think you could figure it out. Kev knows this story from the night it happened. Can't bring it up yet. Soon. I got to find the right moment, then we'll throw it out there. And the funny thing is, I know the minute I tell this story, I'm going to get 10, 20 people who'd be like, holy shit, that happened to me too. It's a little weird. I will tell you that much. It is a little weird. It's a very, very awkward story, but I got to be very careful when I say it. Out of respect to people I'm friends with. So, Benjamin, Death. Let me just say, if you're in the chat room right now, Benjamin and Death Gears are on the right track, but no, it does not involve poop or anything like that. It doesn't involve anything like that. So, Bash says I'm a good storyteller. Honestly, anybody could be a storyteller, good storyteller, if they're telling the truth. You could tell when somebody is exaggerating a story. There is a podcast, I don't want to say who he is. He is very well liked. So trust me, it eliminates some of your people you're thinking right now. He's very well liked. He told the story recently about a girl that he knew who's now deceased. And it's not anybody that you know, but he was telling this story and I was watching it and I could see him adding extra chapters as he went along. And I was saying to myself, you cannot lie a liar. I used to be a great liar. I don't lie anymore because I'm not a good liar. I don't want to get caught. That's why Ledude will be a good example. Ledude will back me up on this one. Ledude, don't say this to just agree with me, but am I lying when I say this? Any stories that I told 20 years ago, when I tell a story now, nothing has changed. Like nothing is exaggerated. Nothing has changed. Because when it's not a lie, you don't have to forget about the lies. When you lie, you got to remember that fucking lie. Because if you forget that lie, then you're all thrown out of proportion. So my stories, as boring as they are sometimes, they're always identical. Because it's the truth. It's the truth. No, it's not Sable. It's not Sable. I never met Sable. I think Sable was in an autograph signing once that I was involved with, but I don't recall meeting her. I definitely don't recall meeting her. My impressions are epic. I two things about yesterday's discussion on Vince. Number one, I got flagged with an adult rating on YouTube, and I knew it was coming. When I started talking about the sex toys, to say it nicely, and reading the text, I said to myself, oh, shit, here comes the flag from YouTube. So yesterday, no ad revenue, period. None. And I'm like, that's okay. That's okay, because we had to cover it. We had to cover it the right way. The second thing was when I was reading this stuff yesterday, like I'm going through it and I'm saying to myself, it's just mind-boggling to like envision this as you're reading it. And again, you think of the condo stuff and you say to yourself, why did she go into the condo? over and over and over and over again. And it took 3 months before she even got the job. And when she got the job, she was already physical with Vince. But when I was doing the impersonations yesterday, when she hugged him and I said, so good. So good. Feels so good. Like I stopped myself. I'm like, nah, that sounds too funny. And I stopped the impressions. If you notice, right after those first two, I'm like, nah, man, this is not funny stuff. It's not a joke. So, I just pictured it in Vince's voice. Oh, so good. Gives me like that weird feeling, man. All right. We got another super shout out. This is from Kevin Milwaukee. Thank you for the 10 spot, Kev. Shane O'Mac had that awkward WrestleMania match last year with The Miz, which he'd make him want to do a redo. But with the scandal, do I think that'll ever happen? To clarify, Miz and Shane, the wrestlers, not the sex toys of Vince. I don't think we will see Shane McMahon back. I personally think Shane McMahon, he would be well received by the WWE Universe. The interesting thing about it is, as time goes by, you see more and more people saying, wow, Shane McMahon ended up being like the best McMahon of them all. And I think that's a little unfair because I don't see any history of Stephanie. I know some of the storylines were a little bit out there, but, I think Shane realizes that this damage that Vince caused is going to be around for a very, very, very long time. And I think TKO Group Holdings does not want anything to remind anyone about a McMahon right now. That's why I don't think we will see Shane at this year's WrestleMania. Next year, anything's possible. I think you have a better chance of seeing Snoop once again than seeing Shane. I would not mind Shane back. I wish Shane McMahon was still a character. I know there's a lot of people that don't like Shane McMahon. I mean, I honestly never had a problem with Shane. The only thing I will say, though, is, and it's strange. If you go online, you will see a lot of training videos. Shane working out, sparring, doing MMA, and very, very good cardio. People forget about what happened in the ocean. Does anybody remember the story in the ocean? I mean, go look it up if you don't even know what I'm talking about. This guy's got crazy cardio. But for some reason, like when he came back the last time, even the time before, he looks unhealthy. He sweats. Like you look at him in his face. I mean, look, when you get older, you can't sometimes control, the proportions of your face especially. And I think the short hair doesn't help him. But he sweats. And I'm like, what is causing like just this metamorphosis on his body? He doesn't look healthy, even though I think he is extremely in good health. He looks, plump, kind of like puts it in the right direction, Death. He definitely looks plump, but not plump. Like, I think this is plump. This is a little bit more than plump. Like, Shane just looks blown up. Shane looks like a bad Tom and Jerry cartoon. Like if Tom had a balloon and you went, and his face would that's what Shane McMahon looks like. Shane McMahon seriously. I have balloons on the floor, but they're on the floor. There's dirt on the floor. So thank you, Kevin, for that. But I don't see Shane this year. I'd be shocked. I don't think a McMahon. A lot of people want to see Stephanie back, which is weird because not too long ago, people were like Stephanie was an enabler. Stephanie knew, Stephanie this. But then people thought that Stephanie stepping down was in protest of her father. What people do forget is that Stephanie, Triple H, and Nick Khan all voted for Vince to leave in 2022. A lot of people kind of forget that. All right. Let's start bringing this home soon. Cause and effect, I don't know what's going on with Sheamus. I thought he was ready to go. I was told like a month ago when Butch was going to have a surprise tag team partner. I think this was New Year's Revolution, and he brought out Tyler Bate. A lot of people were expecting Sheamus to be that guy, but then they did the Brawling Brutes are done and this and that. So I don't know. I mean, he might still be injured, but I heard that he's good. You would have thought, if anywhere, put him back in the Royal Rumble. It was nice to see Liv Morgan yesterday. That was very, very cool, especially after what happened. You know, that first charge ended up being dropped as we expected. The second charge, I believe, will be pled down to a traffic ticket. She'll be good. She'll be good. You don't hold that against Liv Morgan. And look, she was the last to be eliminated. How many people had Liv Morgan in the Final Four? I certainly didn't. I did not have her in the Final Four. We talked about her returning. You know, we were hoping that she would return, and she's able to return, which is good. That's another woman. And you almost feel like, well, maybe she has some unfinished business with Rhea Ripley. Would they dare do Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley in Australia? I don't know. Rhea Ripley's going to be cheered in Australia. Isaiah, what's up, Isaiah? What are my thoughts on WWE moving to Netflix? Will it hinder or move forward in the streaming service? I don't want to. It's kind of hard to cherry pick what Kevin I talked about last Tuesday, but I will say this. My couple of quick thoughts about Netflix. Number one, bye-bye ratings. No more Monday night ratings. Whatever night Raw is on, bye-bye ratings. No more TV ratings. Number two, it's similar to like watching a premium live event on Peacock. You put it on, you're kind of stuck. You're going to have to use a secondary medium if you want to channel surf. Because when you go in Netflix, if something is on in your board, you're going to have to leave the app, close the app to watch something else. Then you're going to have to reopen the app to watch it again. It will be interesting to see live programming on Netflix. It will be live. There will be advertisements. You know, that's why I recommend each and every one of you, if you've not checked it out yet. Last Tuesday was not just a Royal Rumble predictions show. Kevin and I addressed everything with Netflix. There's going to be ads. The prices are going up. It's going to be a live show. It's going to be 3 hours. A lot of people that are hoping for 2 hours. You got to remember this. If it was only going to be 2 hours, then why wouldn't Netflix ink a deal for SmackDown? They would have saved a lot of money. SmackDown was $250 a year. Raw was $500 million a year. Why would you double the price for a show with equal number of hours as SmackDown? So obviously you're getting more. But they realize that, you know, people will be forced to stay on the app because they don't want to be bothered with closing an app and reopening it and this and that. Overseas is going to be interesting. Overseas, because everybody overseas, if you want to watch WWE, you have to use Netflix. If you want to watch SmackDown, you got to watch it on Netflix. You want to watch a premium live event, you got to watch it on Netflix. I think the only thing that Netflix probably won't have is old footage. They probably won't have WCW. They probably won't have, I didn't hear anything about the WWE Network closing. So Netflix has 4 times the number of subscribers than the USA Network here in the United States. You're going to have many more people watching Raw than before, just based on statistics alone here and abroad. Right now, there are 4 times. If USA Network has 70 million subscribers, Netflix, I think, has like 260. So let that sink in that many more people are going to be watching Raw compared to before. But it's a sign of the times. To me, after 1 week, it's not going to be a big deal. It's not going to be a big deal. People, just people don't like change. I don't like change. I honestly, my mustache and my hairstyle is the same it's been since high school. There's a lot of things about me that I don't change. A lot of people, they don't want to change from the USA Network. It's an old place. You don't want to get up and ever move. But once you move, after a week, it's not a big deal. When I watch Peacock, now because you can rewind things, to me, it doesn't matter if it's Peacock, WWE Network, pay-per-view, in demand. Doesn't matter to me. I know if I want to watch premium live event, I open up the Peacock app, I watch it, there it is. So once you get into Netflix, I think the one thing that people will be annoyed about is somebody is going to have to pay to watch. Now, you get a subscription, I think you could have like 2, 3, or 4 other people could log in as well. I don't know how that works. I don't use Netflix right now. I have a subscription for my wife and for my parents because they watch Netflix. But, like I told Kev joking around last Tuesday, I think I have an extra account on my Netflix account. I could just add a login for him and he could go watch Netflix on my account for free. So, somebody is going to have to pay to get a subscription. All right. I'm looking. Not a lot of Netflix. Yeah, you could split the cost for friends. Me, if I don't really need to do anything different because I already have Netflix. But honestly, if you watch Peacock now, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It really, and listen, there's a lot of content on Netflix. So you may find other things that you will like. I think this WWE deal helps AEW because now if Warner Media still wants wrestling on their network, AEW is really their only choice. Unless they work out something with TNA, which I don't see happening. Benjamin is asking, did a single person on the earth predict that Jade Cargill would be eliminated by Liv Morgan? No. I mean, I honestly thought they would have done the same thing like Nia Jax. Have a whole bunch of women eliminate Jade. But I will say this. In hindsight, if I close my eyes and picture a bunch of women eliminating Jade at the same time, you usually do that for a heel. Like you would do that towards Piper Niven. You would do that towards Nia Jax. Like you would do that towards a bigger, woman that's a heel. Tamina's not on that level, but maybe you would do that to Tamina. Like to do it for a baby face that's big. Yeah, back in the day, Andre the Giant, everybody would try to toss him over, but did Andre the Giant ever lose a battle royal? I mean, he might have lost one to Hogan. I mean, Royal Rumble, I think, that would be it. But as far as regular battle royals, Andre was undefeated for many, 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 many years. But, the idea of a whole bunch of women throwing Jade over, I think Jade would come off more as like a heel than anything. But, yeah, I was fine with Liv Morgan doing it because it was kind of like Liv and Bayley because Bayley was kind of the catalyst of it, if you really think about it. So I had no problem with it. What made me happy about Bayley winning yesterday is that people weren't pissed at her because Jade got eliminated. Like, like the right person won, but at the same time, like there wasn't any bitterness like, oh, that should have been Jade. Sure, there's people that were really rooting for Jade, but you look at the bigger picture, it's the same mentality as The Rock going to WrestleMania 40 against Roman. Like, why would you just throw things into disarray for that split-second orgasmic moment? Then the next day, you're like, now what? All right, we threw Jade and winning the Rumble. Now what do we do about this? Now what do we do about this storyline? Now what do we do about this? Just like with Roman. Oh, let's have The Rock face Roman at WrestleMania. Now how do we repair Cody? How do we do this? How do we sell it to people that it has to stay longer? You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. So I'm fine with the outcome yesterday. Roderick is asking, do we get a Roman Reigns, Randy Orton singles match for the title before Mania? Given Solo's interference last night, sure. But I doubt it. I don't know if Roman is going to wrestle before WrestleMania. As ridiculous as that sounds, I think Roman Reigns has to have at least one more match. I would like to see at least two between now and WrestleMania, but there's a lot of worries that Roman will not wrestle again until WrestleMania. But if he has a match beforehand, I'd like to see him wrestle Randy Orton, but something tells me Orton and Roman is not going to happen for the title. Maybe they have a match after WrestleMania. I still think Randy Orton will end up RKO and Cody Rhodes. Maybe even the SmackDown after WrestleMania. Randy Orton may be one of the first to congratulate Cody and then RKO his ass. Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, right off the bat. I think could be the way they go. All right, let's get into 3 more questions. We'll get out of there. Jade Cargill and Nia Jax, I think definitely would be a decent match. When Jade tried to body slam Nia yesterday, it kind of was a little wonky. You got to be a little careful with that. Didn't Gunther body slam Bronson Reed? I think Gunther scooped up Bronson Reed and body slammed him yesterday. To me, I was like, whoa, that was impressive. But I think Jade and Nia would be a decent match. I could see it happening after what happened last night at the Rumble, but I don't think it should be a WrestleMania match. I remember last week somebody pitched that for WrestleMania. I didn't think that was a good idea. So, yeah, Cody versus Randy writes itself. Absolutely. Absolutely. The only problem with it is that would you want two baby faces feuding, that quick, that early? That's the only thing that I'm hesitant about, because Randy is a full-blown babyface right now and Cody is a full-blown babyface. If Randy were to RKO Cody, how would the crowd react to it? Do you want to dare take a chance that some fans may actually take Randy's side over Cody? That's why that may not happen right away. Gruss, no idea who's going to be in the Hall of Fame yet. I personally think Paul Heyman should go in. They're in Philly. It's almost guaranteed. Bray Wyatt, it's really up to the family, but we will know soon. I personally think, maybe not this week, but I think within the next 2 weeks, WWE's probably going to mention somebody going into the Hall of Fame, because we are approaching February and we're only about a little over 2 months away to WrestleMania. And, you have 6 inductees. That could eat up 4 weeks of announcements. That's half the time right there. So I think in the next, as soon as tomorrow or the next couple of weeks, we'll get the first inductee for the WWE Hall of Fame. All right, 2 more. Let's get somebody that hasn't answered the question yet. Let's see. Cause and effect. AJ versus Becky. Belair versus Jade. Rhea Ripley versus Naomi. Bayley versus Io Sky. I don't like the Rhea Ripley-Naomi match. I don't know if that, I think it's going to be Becky versus Rhea at WrestleMania. I think Rhea Ripley is going to mock Becky Lynch on Raw for not winning. Oh, Becky, I was rooting for you and you blew it. And I think Becky Lynch is going to win Elimination Chamber. I think Becky Lynch winning Elimination Chamber, and then Becky We'll go to Rhea Ripley, the Raw after. What was that, Rhea? What did you say about a month ago? What was that? That's where I kind of feel this is going to go. But Naomi, I just feel Naomi's got to be on SmackDown. People want to see Naomi in the Bloodline. I'm not so sure because Naomi, is so beloved, and you saw yesterday. Like, would you put her as a heel in the Bloodline? I don't think so. Mark, Kevin and I are going to be talking about TNA and WWE tomorrow. It's too long of a conversation to get into now, but I will say this. A little spoiler. I think WWE and TNA need to start a relationship similar to what ECW and the WWF had in the late 90s. Now, again, Kevin and I are going to talk about this tomorrow. It's a little complicated, but I'll give you the Cliff Note version right now, and then we'll finish. I get that WWF and ECW started a relationship in 1997 because WWF was getting beat by Nitro. WWF needed a spark. Went into bed with ECW a little bit, had the Hammerstein event, promoted Barely Legal, did a little bit where Sandman and Tommy Dreamer was sitting at ringside for a WWF pay-per-view, and it went from there. We saw RVD on Raw a bunch of times, missed the Monday night. This is 1997. But I think WWE and TNA should have a relationship like 1998, 99, 2000. What I mean by that is this. Anybody from the WWF that went to ECW, at the time, nobody knew. Now, this is why it's complicated, and Kevin and I will talk about it tomorrow. But you'll see where I'm going with this. When Al Snow left the WWF as the New Rockers and then went to ECW and started head and then got over and then went back, everybody thought that he was released by WWF. He was still under contract. WWF was paying ECW money, helped keep them around. And in return, some people that needed to be, built up, repaired, some people that were doing great, and they would ultimately end up back in the WWF. I'd like to see that with TNA. You see Mustafa Ali in TNA now. You see Dolph Ziggler in TNA. You see Dana Brooke in TNA. You see Mason Mansour in TNA. You see a lot of people in TNA. But it's not just those guys that, maybe someone else, that is in TNA ultimately does go to WWE. Maybe down the line, Jordynne Grace. Maybe down the line, someone else. But there's one big roadblock with this, and this is why we'll talk about it tomorrow. WWE was not a publicly traded company in 1998, 1999. So they did not have to tell us publicly that they were funding ECW, giving money to ECW. If WWE started having a working relationship with TNA, not that current WWE stars, like not send AJ Styles to TNA unless there's a special event, a retirement, a tribute, something. But more of, all right, WWE is going to finance TNA a little bit, and TNA will help repair some wrestlers that are not over, and in the process, build some other wrestlers who end up eventually in WWE. I know some people on the surface would say, oh, that won't benefit WWE. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. Because if somebody could reinvent themselves and take their work to another level and then go back to WWE a year from now, 2 years from now, whatever it is, that benefits everybody. So I do think that they should have a little bit of a working relationship financial. I think TNA could use the funds. I think TNA, look, we got into ratings yesterday and didn't Okada perform on Thursday on Impact, and the rating went down. Like no matter who they put out there, Dolph Ziggler, Mustafa Ali cut a promo on TNA Impact this past Thursday. I know the word's got to get around, give it a few weeks and this and that, but you had 20%, almost 20% of their audience from a week ago say this past Thursday, no, I'm not going to watch it. Nah, I'm going to skip this week. If anything, shouldn't it have gone up? So I think if WWE can assist them a little bit financially, then that might help TNA, but at the same time, eventually help WWE. Let it be a little bit of developmental for some wrestlers who need a little bit of a reboot, a refresh. And one of the topics we will be talking about tomorrow is Booker T's comments on Dana Brooke. Booker T feels that Dana Brooke got more chances than maybe she should have to get over. And he felt that WWE Universe never really clicked with Dana Brooke. Bingo. That's pretty much how Kevin and I have felt for years with her. It's my time. I earned this. No, you didn't. Why? Because you've been there 5 years, 7 years. I've earned this. No, you didn't. There was always a disconnect. And yesterday we mentioned her too. It's nothing against her. I hope that her character development right now carries over in the ring. Because if the only thing that's being improved is the aura of Dana Brooke with this Ash by Elegance, and then she hits the ring and she still has that off timing, if she's just going to go slow and just be methodical and just hit people slow, that ain't going to help her at all. It's not going to help her at all. If anything, it's just going to cover up the fact that she hasn't improved in the ring. I'm rooting for Dana Brooke. I am absolutely rooting for Dana Brooke, but it's got to be more than just posh sunglasses, beautiful makeup, unbelievable hair. Like everything about her is like billionaire princess, that she is just, amazing. That look, it's Ash by Elegance until she hits the ring. I think it's a little unfair, Michael, to say that she has no in-ring skills. She's got some, but, I don't know. Some people just aren't cut out for it. Like some people, listen, I don't like comparing things to sports, but I'll leave you with this. If staying in a batting cage 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, guaranteed you to be a 300 hitter, everybody would be in the Hall of Fame. If you shot hoops 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, guarantees you to hit 30 points a game, everybody would be doing it. Unfortunately, there are people that you could spend 5, 10, 20 years in a batting cage in the field doing what you do, and you still bat 200. There are some people that will play basketball their entire lives, have the look, have the size, have the strength, have the cardio, but their shooting percentage is 15%. Some people, no matter how hard you work, you're not a robot. And sometimes it just doesn't work. I'm not saying it's on that level for Dana Brooke, but just because you repackage yourself doesn't mean that you're suddenly going to find your timing. Doesn't mean that suddenly you're going to put it all together. It just means that you're kind of like trying to get people to forget your flaws. And Dana Brooke right now is definitely helping people forget her flaws. But what happens if they return when she's in the ring? And then people are like, it's same old Dana Brooke. So, all right, I'm out of here. I thank you all for joining me tonight. It was tremendous. And, if you want to support what we do, not financially, but just click that little QR code and you'll see what that's all about. But don't forget, final plug, Monday night, January 29th, 2024 at 11:15 p.m., Kevin and I will be live on our Discord channel, dtkcdiscord.com. You have to sign up if you want to join us live. That's the only way you could hear the shows live. We will be there tomorrow. On my Twitter right now, at Don Tony D, there is a whole list of topics that we are planning on getting into tomorrow. We may get into more. You know, it's a loaded show. We obviously are going back to what we used to do, and we're very excited for it. And if you can't make it live, totally understand. Don't feel obligated like you have to. But the shows will be available on dontony.com, all the audio platforms, Apple, Spotify, everything. Patreon, of course, channel members on YouTube, of course. Now, I will tell you this. For channel members on YouTube and a video version of it, that may have to come out on Tuesdays. I'm not sure. I might be able to pull it off Mondays. I'll tell you why it may have to be Tuesday during the day. If you saw the the Royal Rumble prediction show, and we also got into Rock joining TKO, Rock Roman, Netflix. We got into everything. We put about 30 thumbnails in the show, and if you ever watch the Jim Cornette stream on YouTube, you get that one thumbnail and you get the audio for 3-5 hours, just that one thumbnail, and that's it. I'm not comparing it, but I'm just trying to explain. Here, though, it's a little different. Whatever topic we're talking about, the thumbnail on the screen matches the conversation. So now when you scroll through it, if you see Gunther on the screen, we're talking about Gunther. If you see Naomi on the screen, we're talking about Naomi. If you see Velveteen Dream, the interview with Chris Van Vliet, which we are going to talk about tomorrow, you'll see the thumbnail on the screen. I don't know how long it's going to take me to put thumbnails together tomorrow after the show is over. I think what I'm going to try to do is tonight, I still got to type synopsis for this show, but tonight I'm going to try to work on some thumbnails, and hopefully it should not take me that long, but if I could get the thumbnails done the night before, then once the show is over, all I got to do is just open my video program, splice the thumbnails in on certain timestamps, and put it online. So I got to see what time we get done tomorrow, because, hell, if we start at 11:15, we're probably not going to get done until 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. So I don't want to stay up till 5 because I got to get up at 6:30. So, we'll see. But it'll definitely be up there by Tuesday at the latest. Audio only, it's not a big deal. We just, we get it online within a half hour after the show's over. So, but I want to thank you all, as always, for the support. Now, remember, this show, the sit down, the next episode is this Friday, February 2nd at 10:05 p.m. I don't expect the turnout to be heavy, because not everybody's going to realize that we're on Fridays again. But by the following Friday, if the turnout is light because everybody's doing a SmackDown recap, then I'll be going back to Sundays once again. But we'll see what happens Friday. You all voted majority for that. So the next episode will be this Friday, February 2nd, after SmackDown. So much love as always, everyone. Definitely support what we do. And listen, people say, how could I support the show? You want to subscribe on YouTube? Go ahead. You want to become a channel member? Go ahead. You want to join our Patreon? Go ahead. Download the shows. Downloading the shows help us, as you saw. I mean, look, again, not trying to disrespect Ireland in any way, but the fact, let's put it this way. What you're seeing right now with number 2, do you honestly think that What Culture, Bruce Pritchard, Jim Cornette, Jericho, Corey Graves, Chris Van Vliet, you think these people only get a couple of hundred, couple of thousand downloads? The fact that we are ranked higher than them, and some of these people do shows every day, and one show, we've shot up past all of them. That's what happens when you download our shows. Doing that at minimum, that's where it helps. So telling a friend, letting them know what we do, that we're back, and if anybody's seeing this that has not been around for a while, welcome back. For those that are new, welcome aboard. And where's my outro? Where's my outro? Where's my good? I found it.
As far
oh
back
shit!
as I
No.
can remember,
No. That was a little rude. That was unintentional. Listen, if you were around with us back in the day and fell out of love, whether it's because I used to talk about politics too much, or maybe just Kevin and I got a little bit bland, reflection of wrestling, definitely give the shows another shot. Kevin and I had taken 20 years of doing this and taking everything that worked and we're injecting it with horse steroids. That, not literally, but we are literally taking everything that made us what we were and just focusing on that, focusing on the comedy. You want to call somebody out? Like earlier, nothing personal against Brian Alvarez, but he was an asshole to do what he did yesterday. If in a different month, I probably would have just bit my tongue and say, let someone else rip him for it. No. Kevin and I are not holding back. If we want to praise something, we will. If AEW does good, we will praise it. If AEW fucks up, we will shit on it. If WWE screws up, we will criticize it. If WWE does good, we will praise it. And if anybody's a friend of the family, we will kiss your ass, beyond belief. No. We are going to deliver. And it's not a cocky thing. We know that if you enjoy what we do, there'll be no reason to tune into anyone else. And if you do, more the merrier. There are more than enough people out there that you could support other shows. We're not telling you not to support other shows, but we hope that you give us a few months just to get back into the repetitive weekly swing of things. In a few months, your first thought was, what's the go-to show before anything else? This show. And you support our friends as well. So we'll let you know when someone deserves the gas face. Anybody remember Third Base back in the day? We used to love Third Base. We will be giving the gas face to a bunch of podcasts. Unfortunately, there's no more In Your Head. Remember the In Your Head guys? And, we used to make fun of Meltzer. Remember Donzilla with Dave? Welcome, everyone. This is Dave Meltzer. Oh, Donzilla. We're going to have some fun, but nothing personal. It's just business. But, we definitely are not doing this just because we refuse to give up. We're doing this because we think this is the perfect time to just basically blindside everyone. And let me tell you something. You look around that podcasting world, and if you've been aware for the last 4 or 5 years, you know that there were a lot of shows over 4 years. Hey, why don't you two get back together? Come on, the OGs. Come on, you guys were special. You got to get back together. We heard that shit for years. And I was like, what are you, fucking nuts? Kevin's like, I ain't doing nothing with that asshole. Then we mended things out a year ago. And we said, if we ever do it again, it's got to feel right. We got to do it for the right reasons. So now we announce our return. All those people for the last couple of years, you two, you should get back together. You don't need to be friends. Just do what you do. They haven't said a fucking word. They're all hiding. Why? I think I could give you 3 good reasons right now. I think I could give you a couple of good reasons right now. I mean, that must burn. Seriously, U.S. though, come on, my United States family. You would have thought the United States crew would be kicking ass, but, overseas, we're already leapfrogging people. You think they like that shit? Motherfucker, these fat wops are back. These fucking fat fucks. They don't know when to fucking give up. These son of a bitches are back. God damn it. That's all right. We thank you all. And we look forward to what 2024 brings. It's going to be a fun ride. I hope you could share it with us and share it with our friends as well. We support our friends. Trust me. You look at that list. In a perfect world, Steve Austin is replaced with JD from New York. Cultaholic is replaced with Salamonster. Jim Cornette Experience is replaced with Moi. JR is replaced with Kev and Moi. Shadi Sanin will be replaced with Joe Cronin. Post Wrestling will be replaced with Wrestling Days. And it goes on and on and on. That's why, like I said, support who you want to support. But we're going to make sure when it comes to all of those guys, you come here first. You'll get it honest, straight up. Be well, everybody. See you all again Friday night.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen.
If you're still here, don't disconnect yet. I totally forgot something. Trust me, you do not want to disconnect. You don't even have to be in the chat. I promised I would do something tonight. I totally forgot to do it. Give me 1 second to do it. I'm going to give away 5 channel memberships right now. So this way you could access the shows and the bonus content. I have to go into the live programming in order to do this. So just give me 2 seconds. I'm sorry I didn't do this earlier. Let me see if I could do this. Here we go. Here we go. Gift. Yes, here we go. Who gets them? Who gets them? Boom! Who gets it? Cause and Effect. Awesome. Xander Elian, Mike Mendez, D-Block, and Douche. Douche. Oh, look. Don't be a douche. Don't be a chooch. Xander Elian, Mike Mendez, D-Block, Douche, Kunu, Dutch Kunu, and Cause and Effect. Every time I see Cause and Effect's name, I think of Rex and Effects. Anybody remember that hip-hop group, Rex and Effects? Big fan. Big fan.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it.
Check, baby, check, baby, 1, 2, 3, 4.
I
Check,
paid
baby,
the
check,
bills.
baby, 1, 2, 3.
I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now?
All I want to do is a zoom, 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 and a boom, boom. Just shake your butt.
Now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.
All I want to do is a zoom, 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 and a boom, boom. Just shake your butt. check, baby, 1, 2, 3, 4. Check, baby, 1, 2, 3.